Hi, I'm Donna Miller. I'm going to show you how to make an interactive Valentine's Day card. If this is your first time to the channel and you enjoy this video, please consider clicking and subscribing. Don't forget to hit that bell so you don't miss out on anything. So to get started, I'm going to start with my background and I'm using Distress ink. Of course, you could use Distress Oxide ink too. This is the color Faded Jeans. And I'm using a makeup brush that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I really recommend this. It works very well, and I see no need to go out and spend a lot of money on the makeup brush for your backgrounds. So I'm hitting this up in different areas. I want it to look splotchy, so I feel like it looks a little bit more realistic on my pond here. To make the pond, I went to Design Space and I cut out a rectangle and I put an oval on there and I just sliced the two together to make this shape. Now I'm going to switch to a Distress Oxide ink, and this is Peacock Feathers. And since I'm going from Distress ink to Distress Oxide ink, I am using a different makeup brush on here because you really do not want to mix an oxide with a Distress ink. And I'm just hitting underneath the dark splotches that I had put on my card to make it have a really cool effect. So for the background, I'm just using a stencil that I created. You can also buy cloud stencils too. So I'm just using Broken China. This is Distress Oxide ink, and since I'm using a Distress Oxide ink instead of Distress ink, I did change out the makeup brush because you do not want to mix the two different makeup brushes. So I'm just going along the bottom edge of my stencil. Now I'm going to switch colors, and you want to wipe down your makeup brush on a paper towel when you go to switch colors. Because I'm using a color scheme that's pretty close to blue, I'm going to continue using the exact same makeup brush. So this is going to be a greener color, and this is Cracked Pistachio. So it's going to give my background a little bit of a green look, which I kind of want a swamp look for this background anyway. So to complete the rest of the background, I'm going to use my other stencil that I have to alternate the way that the clouds look. And be sure to flip the stencils over too, because that will give you some more alternatives so the clouds don't all look identical together. I really like the varied look from there. But I'm just going to use the exact same colors and just go higher up. I start the stencil about where the last color scheme ended. Now I wanted a swamp look for my card, and so for these leaf backgrounds here, I got this off of Love SVG, and I just kind of manipulated it. I think it was some kind of monogram, and it came with as a flourish, and I just changed it so that instead of it being curved, I just kind of opened up all of the edges and was able to straighten it out a little bit, and I made it skinny. You can also buy swamp backgrounds. I know that Lawn Fawn has a die cut that would cut this out very quickly, and you could do this way more efficient than gluing them out piece by piece. For the lily pads, I just made an oval in Design Space, and then I used a triangle and I sliced the two pieces together, and that gave me a lily pad. And you just need to glue these down. I'm using art glitter glue. You do want to be careful because with the Distress Oxide ink, you can see right there I got glue in the middle. It does kind of leave a smudge because the oxide ink reacts with water, and the glue I guess has a little bit of water in it, and it did kind of leave a spot, but I personally didn't mind it. So for the interactive part of this card, I'm going to use this die cut from Lawn Fawns. This is the slide on over semicircle die. So you kind of want to lay your die down on the card and place the lily pads underneath of it so you know exactly where to glue your lily pads down at. So now that everything is glued down and I have the die taped down to the background of my card, I'm going to go ahead and use the Cuttlebug and cut this out. So now I'm going around the track with my EK Success powder tool and trying to get rid of some of the static here and make it so that the interactive part will slide easier across the track. And then I'm taking my foam tape and I doubled it up here, and I'm just taking the sticky off of the sides of the foam tape so it doesn't stick to the sides of the card as you're moving it along the track. So the key to this is to use a penny, and since this is going to go across the track and I want the frog to be looking at the same way on both sides of the lily pad, I'm going to make it be more square shape instead of a rectangle shape. And so with the foam tape doubled up, I'm going to go ahead and press my frog on there so that the frog will jump from one lily pad to the other lily pad. So looking back at the footage, I now realize that I did not glue down the lily pad when I did my die cut, but I actually waited until I had the frog mechanism in place, which kind of makes more sense if you think about it, because then you can actually place the lily pad directly under your frog's legs. Whereas if you glued it down before you did your die cutting, you'd only be kind of estimating where the frog would be laying at. So looking at the back of your card, you want to double up your foam tape so that it is too high. That way it gives your penny and your frog the most mechanism to be able to move. If it's only one high, it's not going to give you enough clearance for that frog to move around from one lily pad to the other lily pad. So just make sure that you're not too stingy on your foam tape and that you do use enough for it. But just be careful around the penny so that you give yourself enough clearance that the penny will still be able to freely move without being stuck or caught on any of the foam tape on the back side of your card. Now before you remove the backing of the foam tape, you want to hit the back side of the card up with your powder tool to try to get rid of all of the static, and that will allow more movement in your card. So you also want to make sure that you move your frog back and forth multiple times so that it will provide the most movement, so when your recipient gets it, it won't be really stiff and it will move freely from side to side. Now the inside of our card says Happy Valentine's Day, and I just love this card. I think it's such a sweet card for just anybody in general, especially if your recipient likes frogs. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this card and it gave you some ideas for different cards that you can make in the future. Please click the like button and please hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell so you get notified of future videos.